All right. Good afternoon, Flint Rotary. It's lovely to see a nice full room of you here to hear our wonderful speaker for today. And it's nice to have you all here in fellowship as well. I think this is the fullest our room's been for a little while. Perhaps that's because you know that the joke pool is coming and you want to have the opportunity to participate with that today. So welcome indeed. So I want to let Ray in and just kind of as we usually do a quick review of the last few days in our week here. So this week was Yom Kippur. Last time we were together, we had a chance to mark Rosh Hashanah. And today, or not today, but rather earlier this week, Wednesday and Thursday, was the most holy day of the entire Jewish calendar. So it's a day of atonement. October is a new month for us. It is for our country, it is known as National Disability Employment Awareness Month. If you didn't know about that, consider today to be a teaser for that. And so we'll have a chance next week to get a little bit more in depth with what that means, drawing on the expertise of one of our own. October is also Rotary Economic and Community Development Month. And I like this quote that some Rotary clubs had included on their slide from Peter Drucker: the ultimate resource in economic development is people. It is people, not capital or raw material, that develop an economy. That's certainly true. And we're all, as Rotarians, part of that here. Today is also National Flower Day, National Inner Beauty Day, World Smile Day, and National Bathtub Day. And I hope you all remembered your plaid, because I only have plaid socks. I don't have anything else plaid in my wardrobe, but it is apparently Platter Day. So there you go. And of course, as I said, we'll be bringing back the Rotary Joke Tool. So before we begin with our program today, I want to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. And as Rotarians, you try to live by the four-way test. So if you'll repeat with me of the things we think, say, or do. Is it true? Is it all? Will it build better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all? And then for our inspirational message, I'd like to invite up Jane Odell.
Thank you, President Elizabeth. I was fortunate to have grown up in the city of Flint during what I think would be considered part of its better days. Not that I don't believe we had better days ahead, but we certainly have struggled a little bit. I'm a product of the Flint schools. And when I was there was a program that was quite robust. I think it's still in existence, but it's a little bit more limited. It was called Stepping Stones. We had the opportunity to go to Hamady House and get up at 5:30 in the morning and run around the driveway and other such things as to learn how you actually are supposed to vacuum floor. Who knew? But one of the other things that we would do is have our instructor or our leader share with us things that hopefully we would take and put to use in our life. And it reminded me the other day when I hadn't had my eyes checked in quite a while. I thought it was, just a minute, but it turned out I hadn't been since 2019. And what I realized after I got them is that my windows were really dirty. So I want to read to you just a real brief story that I think puts that in perspective and how our vision is sometimes. It's Clean the Window, a wonderful moral story. A young couple moved into a neighborhood And I should back up and say that the reason that this is related to my stepping stone experience is that our instructor told us this story back then. A young couple moved into a neighborhood. The next morning, while eating breakfast, the young woman sees her neighbor's laundry hanging on the lawn or on the clothesline. That laundry wasn't very clean. She said she doesn't know how to wash correctly. Perhaps she needs better laundry soap. Her husband looked out but remained silent. Every time her neighbor would hang her wash out to dry, the young woman would make the same comment. About a month later, the woman was surprised to see a nice clean wash on the line and said to her husband, "Look, she's learned how to wash correctly. I wonder who taught her that." The husband said, "I got up this morning and cleaned our windows." And so it is with life. What we see when watching others depends on the purity of the window through which we look. Before we can give any criticism, it might be a good idea to check our state of mind and ask ourselves if we are ready to see the good rather than be looking for something in the other person that we are about to judge. Thank you.
Well, if that isn't the truth. Thank you so much, Jane, and please enjoy your lunch, and we'll reconvene shortly.
All right, friends on Zoom, I will put you in a and pause for 30.
Okay, I'm not hearing anything from the site though.
Me either.
Welcome back, everybody. We had a chance to enjoy some good conversation and some good food. And you're welcome to continue eating here, but we're going to go ahead and get started with the business portion of the meeting. So I wanted to begin with just a couple of announcements. Hey, Connie. So maybe a timely reminder that if you haven't already silenced your cell phone, you may wish to do so. Another reminder, wanted to let folks know that we will be departing from our usual Friday meetings later this month, that instead of meeting on Friday, the 21st of October, we're going to be meeting here, but the day before. So come on Thursday, October 20th, not the Friday. I think there was a misprint in the weekly meeting announcement this week. So disregard what was in the email. It's Thursday, October 20th is the day that we'll be meeting on a Thursday versus a Friday this month. In terms of health and welfare, I wanted to pass along a couple of things I noticed on Facebook, and certainly as a reminder, if you have celebrations or memorable things in your life that you want to forward my way, please do. Otherwise, I'll pluck from what I find. And two of the things that I saw this week, one was Bob Stabilski and his wife, Becky. They celebrated their 57th wedding anniversary. Yeah. And I especially love the side-by-side photos. And it looks like they're having as much fun on year 57 as they did on day one. And then we had another big celebration this past week with our own Amy Krug had a very fabulous birthday, I think, and she's still here to tell us about it. So,
I did take a week off after we celebrated.
Yeah, she had to take the time off to recover from the celebrations, indeed. Any other health or welfare updates that you're aware of or want to share? Right. Then at this time, I don't think we have Hank Fracolosi here today, so we will postpone our call here as recognition for him. But we do have a number of guests both in the room, and I don't think we have any on Zoom today. But if you are here as a guest, would your Rotarian of whom you are a guest, and you'd like to stand up and introduce yourself. So I will start with my guest, who is my dad, Paul Jordan. He is here. And he retired from what is now Genesee Health System. Back then it was community mental health.
And she's doing a good job.
Yeah, they're keeping it in line. Any other guests we have? Yes.
Yes,
go ahead.
I have, I guess we need an issue. These special feet, and it's a really cool thing. I don't even know how to.
A really cool thing.
Really cool.
Oh, that sounds great. Glad to have you here. Specializing in 3D tours for colleges, universities, and other organizations. So welcome.
To be a new member.
That doesn't, okay. We definitely, glad you're here today. Any other guests here today? All right. Well, we are at that time that so many folks have been looking for, and that is the joke. So
Ready, we're here.
we're ready. So you will notice on your tables there, we have 2 red cups. I had forgotten to bring sticky notes today, so it was fabulous that our guest speakers brought sticky notes as a little thing, so it worked out perfectly. So we have a sticky note that's got the name of each contestant on it. We have Dawn and we have Jerry. So as you are listening to their jokes, be thinking about which one is your favorite, and you can indicate that favorite joke by contributing $1 or a couple dollars, whatever you're so moved to do, into the red cup that has their name on it. If you're on Zoom, or if you didn't bring your cash with you today and you still want to participate, you can do so. If you go to the Rotary Club of Flint webpage, there's that PayPal donate button on the right, and you can also contribute that way. Just be sure to put the name of your favorite jokester in that memo line. Without any further ado, it looks like Dawn's ready to go. Do you mind if Dawn goes first?
You want me to go first?
It doesn't matter.
Well, no, ladies first.
All right, come on up, Dawn.
Hold on.
Well, you already know them, okay. Oh. All right, well, I want to make sure the people on Zoom can hear me, but it's a slightly visual joke, so I need space. So there's a guy, we'll call him Bob. He decides to go skydiving. And he has to take a lesson in how to skydive. So he goes to a class, and the instructor is going through all of the things that he can expect when he skydives. And one of those is packing your own chutes. So they're packing their chutes, and as they're doing this, the instructor is explaining all of the elements of the chute, and he's telling everyone, so, you know, once we get this packed and we're in the plane, when you jump out, your ripcord is right here on your left shoulder. So you will pull that ripcord and you will float to the ground. Can they not hear me? What's something? Did I touch something? So as they're going through this process, Bob has this idea, and he says to the instructor, so what happens if when I pull this ripcord, you know, the chute doesn't deploy? And the instructor says, this never happens. And Bob says, but what if it does? Bob's a bit of a worry. And the instructor said, well, as you note, as we've been packing your chute, there's a second cord, and it's on the bottom on the right. So if when we jump out of the plane and you go to deploy your chute, it does not deploy, pull the ripcord on the bottom on the right, and you'll float down sort of bottom up, but you will come down nice and slow. And Bob said, okay, what if that ripcord doesn't? And the instructor's like, okay, I got one of those today. So he said that has never happened. You can be assured that your second ripcord will open. And Bob he's not having any of it. He says, what if my second ripcord doesn't open? And the instructor looks him in the eye and he says, okay, if neither one of your ripcords open, I want you to yell Buddha, Buddha, Buddha as loudly as you can. And Bob's like, okay, he's just not taking me seriously, but okay. So the next day they get up in the plane. Everybody's taking their turns jumping out. Everyone's chute is deploying up perfectly. Bob gets to the door, running through all these things in his head. And he's like, okay, I'm going to the right. So he jumps out he counts to 15 and he pulls the ripcord on his right and on his shoulder. And nothing happened. And Bob's like, great, of course it's me. So he starts to panic a little bit, but he takes a deep breath and he goes, okay. And he reaches around to the right on the bottom and he just pulls the ripcord. And nothing happened. And Bob is like, okay, now what? Sweat is pouring down his face. He's like, what did he tell me to say? Okay, wait a minute. And he yells, Buddha, Buddha, Buddha. And this giant hand comes out and catches him. And it slowly begins lowering him to the earth. And he's sitting in this giant palm going, and he goes, thank God.
All right, a strong contender. Thank you, Dawn. And she also had to deal with the fact that folks on Zoom that our projector just decided to go up onto the ceiling and now we don't see you, but I can see that Zoom is still going. So folks on Zoom can still vote for Dawn if that's what they do. They could see your joke uninterrupted. Elizabeth. She said it was a visual gag, so it's all right. Next up, we have Jerry Hill.
Need all the help I can get with that one. Holy cow. So I have had the opportunity to travel a little bit in my work. I was in Belgium a lot, and they had a very famous monastery there that provided help to travelers, and they made the best fish dinners there. And this one gentleman, he waited all his life. He was in a different part of the country and he couldn't get there. And finally, he ended up at this monastery so he could go and have fish dinner. So they served him the fish dinner and it was just wonderful. Of course, in Belgium, it's close to the channel and they love fish and know how to do things. And so he's eating his dinner and he's eating his dinner. Oh my gosh, this is more wonderful than I can imagine. I can't wait to finish it. And he gets through, he decides that I got to talk to the cooks. Oh, what a great job he did. So he said he goes into the kitchen and sees a guy working in the kitchen. He says, "Are you the fish fryer?" And he says, "No, I'm the chipmunk." Thank God.
All right, so let's joke to Moses. There's all different times. So you got some puns in today. And Jerry's gonna vote for himself, so there you go. All right, so we're gonna try to get the technical challenge here resolved. When nothing else works, you plug it on the plug, right? Yeah, I don't think it's projected. So we do have IT coming and I will try to do what I can to wrangle with it. But in the meantime, I am going to invite Jerry to do our speaker introduction of Dennis Russell, who's here from Genesee Health System. And oh, we didn't do the, thank you. We need to do the raffle first, and that will help us buy time to fix the projector. But even better, get out your raffle ticket. And okay, well then we'll judge it. We'll finesse, we'll adapt, right? All right, well, let's do it. Go ahead with the 50-50 raffle. So, Mr. Fred Hines.
Oh, yeah. You heard any good jokes? I need an honest. You got volunteers. You joined us, you're in service?
Nope.
They said never volunteer. Well, this is a draft. Would you help me conduct an honest lottery? I'm honest. That's what they all said. I mean, here's what I would like you to do. I would like you to carefully stir the pot. Now, you have no financial connections with who might win.
Except for the lottery ticket.
Is that good? Okay, for third, would you pull one ticket, please, for third place?
When?
That's obviously, that's mine, but,
84440.
Mr. Joel, Funk, congratulations.
Okay,
Would you do it again?
I wouldn't. 84438.
Statistics, my friend, luck of the draw. How about for number one?
Number one.
Your system better work, you know.
84442. Now yours, Joe?
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
All right, thank you to our very honest staff.
Yeah. What do you mean of you're very honest, Ralph? They're all honest.
Always a very honest staff. Indeed, and the whole turn off, they apparently works, so we have PowerPoint here. All right, so before I welcome up Jerry for guest intro, I'm gonna, we got Rob Jewell there who's spending lots of dollars off the back table. Would you like to give us an update? Would you like to give us an update on the upcoming speaker?
Those of you who are at a loss, the back table does a table pool. Whoever's closest to first place wins. It's only fair to announce that Steve Lowe and I, we're both 6 apart on either side. But President Elizabeth, thank you again for the opportunity to do an update, the club for our governance programs. The election and ballot proposals are upon us Thursday, November the 8th. I'm glad you're paying attention. We put that in to make sure people weren't falling asleep yet. Okay. From our previous updates, we encourage you to be informed, involved, and to vote. We thank our members for their service, either as elected or appointed government officials. And we also applaud those who are actively involved in candidate or proposal campaigns. The campaigning is underway. As we shared before, for this coming month, we need to be sensitive to the fact that Rotary as a club needs to be sensitive to political involvement. And with that, also the role of our four-way test. Being nonpartisan as we are and neutral, it's not our place to be a site for campaigning or promotion of an individual preference. However, it is appropriate for us to inform and educate us and each of us to the status and process of our democratic republic. So we encourage you to be informed and educated in regards to the issues, the candidates, and the ballot proposals. During the election years, it's been our tradition to conduct mayoral and congressional forums, moderator, opening statements, alternating questions, and closing statements. For this year, election year, it was our intent to focus on the Flint mayoral and the Michigan 8th Congressional District. We, as a club, have been unsuccessful in scheduling the forums due to the respective campaigns' interest and or availability. Would you like the wording on that? Was that really good? Did I work on that? Okay. However, we are going to continue our commitment to providing program presentations on the upcoming elections. We are honored, as in the past, to welcome back to our club, yes, Paul Ruzicki, retired political science professor from Mott Community College and the renowned area political commentator, Unvin. For our October 20th program, which is on Thursday, we will be focusing on the midterm elections, county, state, and the 8th Congressional District. And for Friday, October the 28th, we'll focus on the Flint municipal elections, Mott Community College, the Flint Board of Education, and the mayoral election, as well as ballot proposals, wait a minute, October the 28th. Isn't that right before that big game for rivalry? I think I'm having a hail to the victor. Oh, I'm sorry, I got carried away. In all fairness, Dominic, do you want to throw anything from the fight zone?
Go green.
Okay,
Oh, what?
I'm sorry, I got carried away. Do want to give, so again, the 28th and also on the 20th. Program, we want to give special thanks to Jerry Hill, our October program organizer. Lynetta Coney, I think I saw her out there, our program chair. And as also President Elizabeth for their advice and consultation. As a side note, we also want to give appreciation to Michael J. Thorpe for his observation and insights on the record. So again, the 20th midterm elections, the 28th, Flint municipal elections and ballot proposals. So be informed, be involved, and vote. Thank you ever so much.
Hello. We're very fortunate today to have a wonderful program about Genesee Health System. The reason that I was very interested in bringing this program to us is that I feel that the Genesee Health System has been very, very successful in this type of work in the state, and we're going to hear about it and how it's growth and what their services are, and looking forward to that. But before I mention going further, next week, our own Michael J. Thorpe is going to tell us a story about all the people in Michigan that you should know, or however it goes. But he's it's going to be quite interesting, so don't forget that one. So I wanted to tell you about Dan Russell, who's the CEO. He's with us today, and we're very fortunate to have him and his crew are going to. He's going to talk about the programs there. He's been the CEO of Genesee Health System in Flint since 1999. Prior to JHS, he ran behavioral health systems and hospitals in Ohio, New Jersey. He has over 45 years experience in community mental health as a clinician and an administrator. In 2017, he was awarded the National Council of Behavioral Health Excellence Award for Visionary Leadership for his 45 years in industry and leadership during the Flint water crisis. And he is a NAMI Michigan's Administrator of the Year for this year, 2022. So very proud of that. He holds a master's degree in clinical psychology and an MBA in finance from the University of Dayton. So with that, I'm going to let him introduce his two helpers here today. And I'd like to give him a warm welcome. Thank you. My name is Dan.
Thank you, and welcome, and thank you for the opportunity. As Jerry said, I graduated from Dayton, so I am a Buckeye. We're always. For the record, I was not really a big Hayes or Ohio State fan until I got to Michigan. And my high school football coach, they 3 years started with Hayes at Ohio State. So over my career in school football, we heard Woody Hayes stories endlessly. And at the end of our senior year, coach came to us, tried to recruit a couple of us to go play for Woody at Ohio State. And we said, nah, we're gonna. We didn't really do that, but we had no desire to play for Woody or go to Ohio State. I didn't think much about that until we went to Michigan and found out about the rivalry and how much. Especially since I've been here, I think the combined MSU and one lost record with the highest, like 5-3 or something like that. So I did a lot of like that as work. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about GHS, just real briefly, and then we're gonna talk about our new children's center. I can do the PowerPoint, but probably I'm not gonna follow it too much, so. I'll let. Actually, I'm gonna let my crew talk about that, most of that. So, if you don't know, Genesee Health System is the community public behavioral health provider for Genesee County. Every county or group of counties in Michigan and across the country actually has a public CMH. A lot of them changed their name to try and be more with the times. And as President Elizabeth said way back when we were Genesee County Community Mental Health, when her dad worked there and retired. But we changed our name to Genesee Health System, and a lot of places have changed their names. They all started as Community Mental Health. And there's 46 of us in Michigan. Obviously, the bigger counties are single county, Genesee, Detroit, Wayne, and Macomb, and Oakland. And then as you go farther north, they are combined, and the Upper Peninsula is one. So the smaller counties combined. So there's 46 of those, and the have a basic core services that we are supposed to provide. And as you can imagine, the size range is pretty considerable. Detroit, Wayne has a budget that they say exceeds the mental health budget of like 12 states. It's like $800 million, and then the smallest, I think, somewhere in the Upper Peninsula has a budget of like $9 million. So it's a pretty broad range. Basically, we do the same thing, just in different organizational structures. Prior to a lot of events that happened, our basic legislative directive is to take care of the most severely mentally ill individuals. So individuals that are severely mentally ill, children that are seriously emotionally disturbed, and we take care of the individuals that have an intellectual or developmental disability. So really the individuals that are the most disabled and have the most problems, that is our core business. And that's probably why a lot of people don't really have much knowledge of what we do. Now with the water crisis, we were one of the first responders that got called, and we're very involved in that and continue to do services for that population. Today, COVID came, and we started to see a need for services other than what Medicaid provides. Medicaid is a great payer if you are eligible. The benchmark to get to that medical necessity is pretty high. We started seeing an increased need for services that didn't meet that level of necessity, and that is why in May of 21 we did a community mental health millage, and the community supported that and passed that. And if you voted for that, thank you very much. If you didn't vote for that, I get it, I understand. And give us time, and I think you'll see that it is money well spent in the community. We are just starting that now, even though the millage was passed in May of 21. We just started, and Dominic will see that big about why we didn't start getting our money until May of 22. We had to work out a memorandum of understanding with the county, and that took a little bit of time. So we're only 5 months into that. And already we are doing a lot of training with your police, local police, on how to handle what turned out to be a fairly good percentage of calls they get that are really something other than criminal behavior. They get a lot of calls that fall into that kind of fuzzy range of maybe mental health, bad behavior, some kind of disordered conduct that is not criminal, and they use police, and we're just starting to interject social workers and mental health people into that. We're developing crisis teams for response to schools. We have an urgent care center that soon will be open 24/7. So we're starting, and I think as we go on, the services for the community are just going to keep expanding. So today we're going to talk about the CTIS, which is the Center for Children's Integrated Services. And if you've seen just south of downtown Saginaw, there's a big brand new building that just has our logo went up on just yesterday, I think. And this started just from growth of our kids services. And we used to have our kids services in 3 different locations, and they were all leased space. So we couldn't do what we needed to do. And like mental health in general, we don't get a lot of money allocated for facilities. So we kind of take what we have and we try and fit it into the space that's available. And so we had rented space in my children's health center, one of the buildings on Whaley's property, and at the Hurley building at the corner of the Fort and George. Services expanded, we started to run out of space, and all 3 of our landlords kind of wanted their space back. So we needed to start looking for new space. And I think some of you know Bill and our team, and Jerry done a little work on Grow Engineering. I casually said to Bill one day, we're going to need to rent a new building for our kids. And what followed is a pretty amazing set of steps and circumstances that led to what Carrie's going to talk about in a minute. That is a new building. And we are staff are just starting to move in now. And the amazing thing about this building, if it's been in it for a long time, is the collaboration and community support that we receive from this building. And the funding is really, really remarkable. It's a combination of public, private, foundation money, individual donors, new market tax credits. It's a combination that I've never seen that I think makes a really, really great model. So Carrie is going to talk a little bit about how all that happened, the building, and what's going to be in it. Carrie Steele is the DHS director, senior director of business operations. She has been our point person on this, and she has gotten involved in things that I'm pretty sure she never thought she would. And just she kind of has paid her dues. One of the things she had to do, she had to go to a Flint council meeting to get 2 sentences read into their minutes. Yeah, you already know where this is going. So, oh, no problem. We'll put her at the beginning of the agenda. She'll be there half hour. 7.5 hours later, Carrie got to read her 2 sentences into the minute. So without any further delay, just Carrie, and she's going to talk about her new building. Carrie?
All right, I'm gonna try to work this and I'm gonna move the slides ahead. And Dan never works in slides, so you know, he might have already spoke about this, but I just first want to thank you for having me. I have to say this is a great club. You tell jokes, you feed people, and you gamble a little. So anytime you want, yeah, want to invite me back, no problem. Dan mentioned about Bill Winarski. Bill Winarski is our chairman of our Greater Flint Mental Health Facilities Board. That board was put together about 50 years ago to assist community mental health to develop buildings, and that they were in control of it. And their only purpose and mission is to manage our facilities for us. So when Dan said we went to Bill, we had a problem. That is exactly why. We took a look at our current landscape of our facilities, and one of the things that we wanted to address was the barriers for our families. And one of the barriers is that they have children that receiving services at several locations. So one of our goals was to bring those locations all together in one, which ended up being the vision of the Center for Children's Integrated Services. So let me move forward here. So what is going to be in that building? So we'll tell you a little bit about what those services are. So we're going to start out with the assessment center. So we changed some of these. It gave us an opportunity to also take a look at our service delivery and try to make it make sense to people who don't really understand or who aren't familiar with mental health. So one of the service delivery out of the building is our assessment center. So our assessment center focuses on 3 types of assessments for children in Genesee County. The first, Dan touched on neuropsychological assessments for the Flint children. So that program was developed as a result of the meeting a community need, a result of the water crisis. We also provide fetal alcohol syndrome testing as well as assessments, autism assessments. One of the terminologies we're changing from, we always call it the Autism Center. We're calling it the Learning Center, and they service about 100 kids a day. Very intense program. We have a really neat model for that in the building, and we're really excited. This was one of the challenges that we ran into. Is they're called Applied Behavioral Analysis Services, and those services are fairly new to as a service delivery model to meet the needs of children with autism. So when we worked with our architect, one of the challenges we ran into is there's no footprint out there for that type of how do you design an autism center? So it's been really challenging, but it's also been really fun to be the first in the forefront of people designing that. We already have people calling us asking, how did you do that? So that's pretty amazing. One of the other service deliveries are Children and Family Outpatient Clinic, which offers evidence-based outpatient therapy in a clinic setting, as well as medication management services. And those are psychiatrists and nurse practitioners delivering medication management. One of the other groups that also will be delivering services, well, and I say delivering services, they'll have office space. So this was also a unique challenge for us. We have a outreach and navigation team. And again, this was an expansion due to the water crisis. We had developed outreach teams, and we've expanded those outreach teams as well to meet the needs of the community. So maybe the Latinx community, deaf and hard of hearing communities. So you will see a lot of outreach. And that we do also, I'll mention, we also have 2 mobile units. So you might see the mobile units out in the community. I think I saw it on the front of the brochures, but that's our community outreach teams utilize that in a lot of community events. Our case management and our home-based services, these staff, they're out in the community most of the time. So what they needed is the space to kind of come and drop down to, utilize, maybe do some documentation, utilize the printers, that sort of thing. So we developed for this space, we developed a co-working space. So it's a really neat space. It gave us an opportunity to, instead of have individual spaces, it's more like you go to a Starbucks and you do your work there. So it's really a unique and interesting space. Also, and the reason why we added the integrated services into our title of the building was because we're also bringing in our Genesee Community Health Center, which is a federally qualified health center that provides primary care, behavioral health, as well as substance use services. So this model, again, if you can't, part of, you have to take care of both sides, the body and the mind. And so this, again, offers the opportunity for families to utilize this, the health center as well. So that clinic will also be there. And another unique feature of the building is we designed cafe space. So some of the assessments, the families have to stay there for average 3 hours, could be more. They're very intensive assessments. So many times family comes with children at tow, and we wanted to have space for them to, comfortably sit. We have waiting rooms, but the cafe space is a really unique space that allows, and to get to know other families, as well, to talk with them. Because if you do have children with intellectual developmental disabilities or mental health issues, it's really nice to talk to other people who are in the same situation. We have unique collaboration space, and one of the things that we always could use is conference rooms like this size, right? So we also developed that there. Dan touched on the project funding. One of the things I'll touch throughout this is just kind of back up a little bit, is that this project is a $23 million project. Mix of public, private, and community philanthropy. And the building is almost 60,000 square feet. It's a very large building. One of the other things I will mention about this is that we do have a fundraising campaign, and Amy Cruz is on that campaign. So again, it's been very great to have community support on this, and she's been awesome. Bill Winarski is also her right-hand person. But one thing I will mention again is the community making this is not, Dan usually says this, but this is not something that happens for community mental health organizations. Our funding is very restricted. And so the ability to build buildings is very unique, and you have to have community collaboration and support in order to do this. So we're very blessed in our community. We have the CS Mott Foundation. They have provided $5.5 million to this project. So we're very grateful for that. We have many other contributors too, as Amy and Bill have worked. I just mentioned that one. This is kind of a little bit older slide, but we've had Ruth Mott Foundation has provided the Community Foundation and Carl's Foundation, fairly large contributions as well. So this is the building. The building is at the corner, or this is the location of the building. The location of the building is at the corner of South Saginaw and 9th Street, which if you've been around there is all construction right now, which has been very convenient for our builder because we don't have to worry about traffic. However, right now it's a little bit difficult, but the project, I think a lot of things are aligning properly. So we've been told that November timeframe that project should be wrapping up there. So when you're coming off of, and I'll back up a minute, one of the goals that we wanted is Sigma. Obviously, we want to be able to have a building where people are proud to come to, as opposed to dreary. And when you're coming in for mental health services, the last thing you want to do is to come into a building that's closed off, dreary, that sort of thing. But we also recognize a couple things in choosing the location. Over half of our children and families served are from a Flint zip code. So we wanted to remain in Flint for that purpose. And we also wanted to be on a bus line and to be easy accessible. One of the other things, and this is something that when we were talking about location, we really wanted a prominent location. So the great thing about this location is our friends from Lansing, when they come to Flint and they turn to go downtown, this is what they will see. It's a very big, beautiful building representing hope for our community. So we're really proud to see that come to fruition. If you haven't seen the building yet, or you haven't been by that way, you have to go around a little bit, but soon that will change. It's really beautiful. So this is the concept, how it started. Throw a couple of those pictures from the beginning and threw some pictures in here if you can see them of where we're at right now. So like Dan said, we're starting the process officially. We're starting to move staff in October 17th. And we have a staged process of moving staff in, programs in, and we'll be fully functional by the end of November, our plan is. We do have plans for some open houses the end of November. And don't quote me on this, I want to say November 30th, but we'll do public announcements to open the building up for the public to see as well. So, questions?
Okay, first of all, when you say children, what age group, and secondly, are you looking at the schools?
So yes, we do work with schools. And the funding is a little tricky when it comes to mental health services because each has their own set of funding. However, some of what Dan talked about earlier, our millage funding is allowing us to collaborate and not have the restrictions of Medicaid funding. I'm sorry, what was your other question?
What age group are you?
So what age group? So we serve from children 0 to 18, and in autism, the benefit goes from 0 to 21. So your question is, project overall complete. The project is nearly complete. We're anticipating some things to happen next spring. So for example, we have a therapeutic playground that will not be available till next spring. And we're in October, so really that's okay. We also are working on a auxiliary parking lot that will not be done, but it will be operational for our staff and for our families to come visit. And we're hoping, your other question, it's an MDOT project that's next to us right now. So we're we have no control over that project, but what we're hearing that one of our partners, Grow Engineering, they're telling us that project should wrap up here in November. So we're hoping that that will be that way.
How many staff members are in the building? How many teachers are bringing to that building?
Good question. So the question is how many staff are moving into the building? Approximately 150. Yeah. Again, we have a large community-based program that will be, you know, in and out of the building, but they won't be there for 8 hours a day. So, yes.
Okay, the autism program, are any of those kids that will get full time?
Some of them do, depending on what their need are. You know, they're based on the. So again, so they're developed individual plans for each, treatment plans for each. So yes, some children do stay all day. Yep, so there would be a lunch kind of brought in. And that sort of thing. Yes. Where are we parking? We have our main parking lot is done. We have an auxiliary parking lot. When I say auxiliary, we wanted to expand parking, so we purchased some more land. That is, that will not probably be done. We're still trying to figure out funding on that one. So we're anticipating that, and it's only about 50 parking spots on that part. What we're back up to as well, I add is American Red Cross is right behind us. They've been really great. If we need, we have big events, you know, we've been able to, when we did our groundbreaking, they allowed us to park there and that sort of thing. So they have a parking lot, a garage and a parking lot right there.
So your property actually goes from the sidewalk all the way to church?
No, we back up. So that it would be Grand Traverse there, right? So that is the American Red Cross has a parking lot right there. So that's their parking lot, but from their space to our space starts next to their parking and goes to South Street. Go ahead, Amy.
Just one of the things when RC and I have done a lot of tours, and one of the things, it's really cool, the funding model and the children that we serve, but it's also to see professionals in this field who get into this building and they are absolutely giddy from the thought and attention to detail and how all of that is coming together. You know, I believe and I hope for JHS that this is going to be a great recruitment tool for you guys to bring additional high skilled clinicians to the community to retain some of this talent, because this building is just remarkable. And you know, and not only that, what the impact that it's had on the neighborhood. Carrie was very polite and didn't say that they knocked down the strip club to build that, but it's really nice not to have to give directions to downtown Flint by turning left at Club 69. I mean, it's really the impact not only on children and families that need the services, but also on the neighborhood and our community. And the idea of elevating children's mental health and making it such a prominent priority as a community, I just think it's remarkable. So I think it's something we can all be very proud of.
Thank you, Amy. That's, yeah. I can't move forward without, I forgot to mention our partnership with Uptown Reinvestment Corporation and how critical they were to this project and helping us with this, because that land acquisition is not easy. So you can imagine a deed to a strip club was messy. So I will just say that that they've been right there by our side.
Well, thank you so much.
Reports and whatnot, those difficulties tend to refer to the provided technical assistance. We can find out what it really entails. Well, thank you so very, very much for that. And for the engagement from Rotarians here. I trust that if folks have follow-up questions or want to connect further, that they'll make themselves available for that. All right, so I want to, before she speaks out of the room, now there is another member of the GHS team here today that we have Melissa Brown, who is there in the back, who's the Director of Marketing. So welcome, Melissa. And I also want to be sure that our joke drill participants come see me at the end. I have Rotary jokester pins for you. Want a picture for the newsletter as well. And thank you so much to our joke drill participants and also Jerry for introducing our speaker and arranging the programs this month. Jane for your inspirational message and a reminder to look at my own windows first. Amy for following up your birthday week with doing the bulletin notes. And I think it's convenient because we have the whole backstory for GHS, and I'm sure it will be a glowing article in the newsletter. Don, thank you very much for the setup and takedown today, and for your added help putting out the extra red cups for the joke duels. And of course, Terry, thank you for staffing the registration table. Next week, we will be right back here at the food bank. And as Jerry mentioned earlier, we'll hear from our very own Michael Thorpe. He'll be featuring a conversation on Michiganian names we know, but don't know why. And I have to train myself to say Michiganian because I'm one of those folks that Michigander sounds more natural. But if you remember his talks from previous years, there's a good reason he uses the term Michiganian and not Michigander. You'll have President Kyle here next week, past President Kyle, so he'll have a chance to ring the bell again. But I look forward to being with you again on the 20th, which is a Thursday, for our third meeting in October. Thank you so much for being here today. Thanks again to our guest speakers. A contribution has been made in your honor to Rotary International in their efforts to eradicate polio, as a way of saying thank you. And for all of us, I hope you'll take some time this weekend to enjoy the fall weather, the changing of seasons, and of course, to imagine Rotary working for you, the community, and our world. Thank you. We're adjourned.
Thank you, Friends.